The last thing I'm going to show you is how to measure an angle using this thing. It's called a protractor. And if you guys notice, there are two different sets of numbers. The top numbers and the bottoms are basically identical, just backwards. And depending on how your angle goes will depend on which number you use. So I'm going to show you how to use that. Basically, what we're going to do is we're going to measure an angle. And what we do is you see the circle right here. That's where we're going to put our vertex. If you remember, our vertex is where the angle is of our, where the point is of our angle. That's going to be our vertex. So that's what I'm going to do here. I'm going to line up my vertex in that dot. And one of the sides of my angle, I'm going to go along this straight line. And then my other angle, my other ray rather, my other side, I'm going to go out. And I'll go ahead and go beyond my protractor. And now I got to figure out how big this angle is. Like I said, there's two different numbers up here. There's the hundreds, and then there's just 70, 60, 50. And so I've got to figure out what type of angle is this. Is it an acute angle? Is it an obtuse angle? And looking right here, it's an acute angle because it's smaller than 90 degrees. Because it's acute, I use the smaller numbers. So I'm going to use the bottom numbers. So now from here, I just figure out where this line is going to cross. And it looks like it's going to cross at about 65. So that means that this angle, the measure of this angle, is going to be, we'll call this measure of angle A, is 65 degrees. So that's how I would write my answer. Now let's say that I have a different angle. Let's say that this time I'm going to line up my vertex where that hole is, and let's say that this time the angle goes this direction. And this is going to be kind of a larger angle, so we'll go ahead and go with this. And now I'm going to figure out what the measure is. The first question I ask myself is it obtuse or acute? And looking at this, it's a really fat angle, so I'm going to go with an obtuse angle. And that means that I'm going to be using the higher numbers, the numbers on top. So looking here, I'm going to see where my line crosses through, and it crosses through at 150. So that finally means that the measure of my angle, and we'll call this angle X, is equal to 150 degrees. That means that it's an obtuse angle because 150 degrees is between 90 and 180. Now there will be times where there's multiple angles jetting off of a vertex, and so I'm going to show you guys how to measure one of those. So let's say that I had different vertex or different rays coming off the same vertex. So I have that ray, I have that ray, and let's say this ray. And I want to know what the angle measure is for this angle right here. So I'm going to find out what the measure is for this angle right here. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to look at this side and this side. And once again, I ask myself, is it acute or obtuse? And so I'm going to figure that out. Sorry about that. And here I know it is acute. So I'm going to use the smaller numbers. Acute means small. And so this angle is 60 degrees. Now I want to figure out also the measure of this angle right here. Now that's going to be a little bit more tricky. Because I know that up to this point I'm at 60 degrees. Now I'm going to keep on going on those top numbers. I started on the top number, so I'm going to keep on going until I get to that next line. That line is now at 120 degrees. What that means is that this angle, this huge angle right here, is 120 degrees. That huge angle. Now I just want